Welcome to the Longevity Forum podcast, a series on achieving longer, healthier, and more fulfilled lives for as many as possible. In this session, we are thrilled to have Dafina Grapci-Penney, co-founder of the Longevity Forum, who will be speaking with Lord Neil Mendoza, Provost of Oriel College, Oxford, about the future of education. I'll leave the rest to you, Dafina.
Thank you, Laura, and good morning, Neil. It's a pleasure to have you as our guest on the Longevity Forum podcast today.
Thank you.
Education is obviously a topic that we discuss a lot here at the Longevity Forum. In fact, unsurprisingly, we believe that with changes in life expectancy and the need to reinvent ourselves and our careers multiple times during our lifetime, lifelong learning becomes really critical. So, as the provost of one of the leading colleges at the University of Oxford, we're very keen to hear your perspective on how you see education evolving to respond to longer lives. But before we talk about the future, I thought we could perhaps give a little bit of historical background for those listeners who perhaps are not familiar with Oriel College, given that our audience is global.
Of course. So Oriel College is one of the constituent colleges at the University of Oxford. It's an old college. We were founded almost 700 years ago, so we're coming up to our anniversary, which is a very exciting thing. And we do two things. We educate and we also provide a place for research. We educate undergraduates and graduate students in a whole range of subjects across the humanities, the sciences and the social sciences. And we are right in the centre of Oxford, a lovely home for students. We're quite a traditional college. People should come visit.
That's quite a legacy, and I'm sure one that will be made even greater as the college benefits from changes in life expectancy. And I suppose for Oxford University, demand has never been an issue. Supply has always been tight in terms of intake. So when we talk about longer lives and possible increases in future demand, how does that change things for you, and how are colleges like yours preparing to promote lifelong learning?
I don't know how much preparation we've done so far. The university has always had a model for continuing education. It has a department called the Department for Continuing Education. It takes about 15,000 students a year from right across the world, 160 countries, and you can do courses daily, weekly, monthly. You can do courses online or in person. You can do courses that result in undergraduate or postgraduate certificate. And like other universities, they have a system for being able to transfer certain types of credits across partner universities and colleges of higher education. So there's something going on at the university level. At our level, because all of our education is here with students in residence, we haven't got particularly far in thinking about how we as a small college might do that. But clearly, this is a really important thing, as your introduction suggested. As lives go longer, then clearly during our lives, we have many opportunities for change, both in what we study, how we work, where we live. And so education offers an incredible opportunity for deeper reflection and for coping with longer life and potentially longer retirement.
Absolutely. But so in terms of, it's interesting what you said, because I hadn't really thought about all the online learning as well, because which is one way of increasing capacity and broadening the reach to more and more people, not just those who are physically in the colleges, but around the world. But what would you say are the main challenges for universities, and not necessarily speaking just for Oxford, but just based on your perspective? Is it the kind of whole digitization? It seems like there needs to be more investment in that if you're going to increase capacity in the future.
Yeah, there are many challenges for universities. I mean, in a sense, a university, certainly at the undergraduate level, was a place where young people, in the UK this is in particular, could leave home and experience, in a way, being a bit more independent between the ages of, say, 18 to 21. Now, clearly that's going to change with a move towards a more online model. And we're already seeing, as a result of the pandemic, the acceleration of the move to online, whether it's online tutorials or online examinations. I just wonder, Dafina, what's going to happen, because there are great tensions within these university structures. Universities are not there just merely to educate. They are there equally to do research. And Oxford, the University of Oxford, is a massive research university. And sometimes the tension between the education piece and the research piece comes to the fore. And I think that's going to have to be dealt with. The funding model is another one that's going to have to be dealt with, certainly in the UK. I can't speak for the international market, but here in the UK, at the undergraduate level, the government sets fees at a certain rate, which is below which is below our cost. So at some point, that will have to change.
And have you thought about what this does to your funding models? Presuming things will have to change, but have you changed yourself how you approach fundraising outside of obviously the fees from students?
Yeah, well, Oriel College, like the other colleges at the University of Oxford and like many other things, we're a charity, and so fundraising is very much a part of our lifeblood and what we're here to do. The model of an Oxford college is that we provide a very intensive tutorial structure for our undergraduate students, which means that they have 1, 2, or 3 sessions a week with a tutor when there are only 2 or 3 of them in the room. So it's an incredibly wonderful experience, but that is a very expensive offer, and it's not one that we want to stop doing. So in order to fund that, we need to continue to fundraise and make sure that we can give students the benefit of that extraordinary time they have with some of the great experts in their field on a personal level.
And I suppose infrastructure is another area that will need to change as we live longer, as you have more and more cohorts, I suppose, coming to universities for that continued education. Where do you look for inspiration? I suppose you already outlined that there are limitations in terms of how much you can increase capacity within the college in terms of like the physical presence. But if you're thinking about different cohorts coming to university, lifelong learning, how do you adapt the infrastructure for, say, older people accessing university? And where do you look for inspiration? Of course, business schools have tended to have more older people attend business schools. So do they provide an inspiration in this area, for example?
Yeah, they do. We have a business school at Oxford, the Side Business School, which is extremely good. And we also have business school students at Oriel College who then go and do their course at Side. So we're quite used to having older students. I just think also we have to think a bit more widely than just the university system. Think a bit more widely about higher education and perhaps move to an offer of further education, vocational training, different kinds of courses, shorter qualification options for education products. Because as we live longer, we are going to want to change our careers, change our interests. And I think it's going to be a wonderful opportunity for universities to do that. And there are plenty of businesses out there already doing that. So, for example, if you take a giant education business like Coursera in America, you can see that they partner with a number of universities around the world to offer courses, in their case, specifically designed really to bring on business skills or technical skills that will be useful in the workplace. But why shouldn't that be a way that people should go? And those are obviously mostly online.
Absolutely. I think the opportunities are limitless, and it seems like universities would be great in terms of the old sort of university route, but this kind of further education and lifelong education, it seems like a good space for universities to really move into. You talked about obviously the research side of things, and we know that Oriel College is really doing great things in the longevity space. You have the lab that's run by Lynn Cox, who's one of the leading scientists in this space and someone we're proud to have as our own supporter. So I'd be grateful if you could maybe just tell us what's happening there.
Yes, well, Professor Lynn Cox he's a fellow in biochemistry at Oriel College, and she is also one of the leading scientists in the world in the area of longevity research. And I know that many on this call will know of her work. Especially at her work on senescent, on removing or modifying senescent cells, for example, which we know drive different aspects of aging pathology. And as you say, our own Jim Mellon is a great sponsor of Lynn's work at Oriel, and the effect of his sponsorship is significantly bolstering our ability to study the process of cell aging and advance interventions that can improve health and immune resilience. So we're doing our work here to extend life. And then, as you say, we're going to have to work out how to educate people as they have this long life. The other thing I was thinking, Dafina, actually, is in terms of education providers, it won't only be universities and education, conventional education places. It won't only be businesses like Coursera. But what I'm seeing, and as you know, I'm also across a lot of the culture world for the UK government. I'm increasingly seeing some of our great museums offering education options. So, for example, you may well know the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, which is one of the great museums in the world. They've now launched an academy, and in that academy, you can study either in person or online an array of art history courses, because that's their area of expertise. But you can also study practical things in, I don't know, sculpture, painting, tapestry, restoration, that kind of thing. And I think that will prove to be an incredibly interesting area as we move on, as we find different areas of expertise, being able to turn them into educational products for people.
Absolutely, I think that I wasn't aware of the VNA's academy, but that makes a lot of sense. And as you say, education, when you think about education in broader terms, it's not just, learning about a topic or reskilling. It's also about, as we live longer, people will have more leisure time, so they will want to pursue passions as well and learn about things that they might not have had the chance to learn during their kind of professional development. So it does make a lot of sense to think about it in much broader terms. Well, that was a fascinating discussion, Neil. We really appreciate your time and really grateful to you and the entire Oriel College for the support. We're really looking forward to seeing you also at the Science Summit during Longevity Week, which, as a reminder, will be running in London and virtually from the 14th to the 18th of November later this year. And hopefully, it's a good opportunity to showcase also the work that Oriel College and Professor Lynn Cox are doing in this area and hopefully attract more supporters to the lab as well.
Thanks very much, Dafina. It was great to speak to you.
Thanks, Neil.
This broadcast has been brought to you by Longevity Forum as part of Longevity Week 2022. For more podcasts, visit our website, thelongevityforum.com, or follow us on Twitter, longevity_forum.